right. Well, men know more about women's bodies than women do. That was the crystal clear message from a women's charity in the UK that appointed this person as their new CEO. This is Steph Richards, a trans identified male. I've told you how I'm going to use those terms. This person was born a boy and goes as a girl. He told Pink News that he spent over 30,000 pounds on a sex change because they were really concerned that even with all of this costuming, that his death certificate may not recognize that he says he's a woman. Here is that article from earlier this year. So it's the gender ID law is something that they've spoken about a lot, about the fact that the birth certificate and the IDs say that he's a woman, but he's really worried also about the death certificate. Although if you dig this person up, years and years later, their DNA will also recognize him as a man, and there's nothing you can do about that. So I don't know if that keeps him up at night or not. The announcement of Steph as the new CEO of the South Coast Endometriosis Center was met with so many mad tweets on Twitter from adult human females. So much so that the society later apologized on Twitter, not because they appointed a man to represent an endometriosis charity, but because of this quote. Take a look at the quote from the announcement. It says, "Isn't it ridiculous that I've got to my 40s before any medical professionals even mentioned endometriosis?" Now, that looks like Steph, the man, might have said something like that, and that's inappropriate because Steph's doctor would not tell that person about endometriosis, given that Steph lacks a uterus. Endometriosis is a painful disease that causes the tissue lining on the outside of the uterus to grow and become inflamed. It often is associated with infertility. It's a nightmare for many women. It's not something that Steph and his doctor would just play around with to discuss in order to affirm Steph's gender identity. The comments on this post are scathing. Women are furious that a man pretending to be a woman would step in to speak for this uniquely female condition. Now, of course, I want to acknowledge that men do often research and are experts at female health. I had a man deliver my first child. Remember? He was handsome. Do you remember that guy? I'm just seeing if you're paying attention.
I'm paying attention.
Okay.
Wait, Clayton.
What the hell?
Clayton delivered your.
Yes.
Clayton delivered your first baby.
My mom.
I'm not a doctor, but I stayed at a Holiday Inn Express last night.
My mom called the guy who delivered my son. He's like, "Your OB is handsome. That's Dr. Cutie." Anyway, I gave that an aside to see if Clayton's paying attention. He is. He doesn't
Always.
like it when I talk about that doctor that way.
Yeah, especially that.
Okay. Where was I? Okay.
I don't know.
So, yes, I just want to acknowledge that, yes, of course, men can be medical experts when it comes to women's health. But the man who has, I've had a few male OBs before. They never try to convince me that they know what I'm going through by experience, or that they also are a woman, or they know better than me what it feels like. Now, when one woman challenged this on Twitter saying this should be an outrage, Steph, the new CEO of this endometriosis, said, "Listen, girl, I was researching issues around pregnancy and women's health well over 2 decades ago. Strangely, in those days, sex didn't come into it. Pregnancy and women's health had nothing to do with sex," so says Steph. "I have offered to share my knowledge with you, so to improve your books, but you refused to meet me." Now, I thought to myself, okay, did Steph publish research on women's health and maybe they're equivalent to my male OB? No, let's zoom in on this proof that they provided. These are just printouts of articles that Steph was reading in 2006. Steph is not the author of these things. Steph was just proving to us that they were reading this in 2005 and 2006 because of the date stamp on articles about women's health. Just that they've been reading this, not that they're actually...
Oh my gosh.
He's like, I printed these out and
That
I've been
just
reading.
opens
Yeah, this opened so many more job opportunities for me. I didn't realize all I had to do was read articles. I'm going to go be a doctor now. What am I doing here?
Yeah, that's all you need
I
to
mean,
do.
I probably printed
Screw
some
you
random
guys. I'm going to
stuff.
NASA.
Yeah.
I'm going to NASA. I watch PBS Space Time every new episode. I've been doing this for years.
SpaceX.
NASA, hit me up.
SpaceX is hiring, Philip. I think just because you read a few articles or watched a few YouTube videos.
No, you have to have printed them.
Oh,
you
yeah,
have to have
print them.
printed them in 2006.
Who the hell prints articles?
I can go back. I can go
Okay.
back.
Or
have
start
a
printing
printer, so if you
things
guys need to borrow
now. And then 10 years later, like if I just print out something right now that says that I can, perform open heart surgery, then maybe I can do it, right? So the
Well,
proof
I have a
there.
Photoshop expert that can change the date on them for
Okay.
me, so.
Yeah, that's
Well, yeah,
true.
you're right.
He didn't think about that.
Yeah. Well, Steph sure showed that lady with her printouts of women's articles. That settles it. Steph's an expert.
Yeah.
Now, another question is whether or not Steph can take time out from advocating for trans rights to properly address women's rights, because those things are not the same. They are diametrically opposed. Steph is busy going to these rallies for trans rights and rallying parliamentary members. Here's a picture of them doing just that. Steph also regularly tries to debate with women who say that they're women. I might say even accost or harass. Here's their account of seeing a woman wearing a T-shirt that said adult human female, and that really upset Steph. And so goes up to this woman wearing the shirt and says, "Can we talk about this? I'm trans. You shouldn't be wearing that shirt." And the woman refused, even though she was with two mates. Steph wants debates and conflict with actual women. There are other proof online that Steph has shown. There was a person who said they were a sexual assault survivor and were groomed. And Steph says, "No, you weren't. You weren't groomed. Nobody groomed you." So Steph is not shooting.
Can I ask a question real quick? Sorry. Is the adult human female some kind of like signal? I don't understand
Yes.
how that would just, if I saw somebody wearing that T-shirt, I would think that was funny. What is the signal? What is the
Right. I'd be like, "Oh, that's a funny shirt." Fine. Yeah. And I would go up to that
Yeah.
person and be like,
It's kind of a turf costume. Like, it shows to trans activists that you think that a woman is an adult human female, and that definition is very offensive to trans people. To define a woman as an adult human female is offensive, and they don't like it. And so the shirt itself is a signal that you are not down with other people's gender ideology. And so, yes, that shirt in and of itself is something that will get you. And in fact, I think like even kids have been kicked out of school for wearing it. There was a young boy in Massachusetts, I believe, who wore a T-shirt that said there are only two genders, and got suspended for it or sent home or what have you. So anyway, this is the guy that they think that can represent women with endometriosis in between all the trans debates that he's busy having. I wonder if the charity will now listen to the hundreds of pissed off ladies that are replying to these announcements on Twitter or X. To their credit, they did not turn off comments to these announcements, because I guess, a female charity silencing women over a man would be seen as bad optics. So they're just taking it. It's kind of, fun to watch, I would say. This brings to mind this incident last year when a group in Scotland decided to not hire a man they had originally decided to hire as a period dignity regional lead officer. That was literally his title, period dignity officer. It helps me feel dignified about my period is not having it mansplained by a man. At least this man was not like trying to dress the costume.
Let me tell you why it's so important for a man. I was going to say, let me tell you why it's so important for a man to tell you about your period, Natalie.
Okay, I'm listening.
Just couldn't resist.
I'm all ears. Yeah, I mean, at least it wasn't a man dressed in women costume. That makes it worse. But this guy, I wouldn't let any guy near my daughter to do that. That was just like some bloke that was not a doctor. So, this is an outrage. It goes without saying, but this charity is thinking that they're doing a good thing. Here is a sarcastic post from one of the many comments on this, and I thought that this was kind of funny, from a fellow gender critical woman. Sums it up nicely. She says, I'd like to announce my appointment as chief womansplainer of male pattern baldness. As you can see, being both female and blessed with a disturbingly massive head of hair, there's no one better qualified for this position. I look forward to patronizing follically challenged men. Okay.
I love it.
Yeah, that's the equivalent. So if how do you like that? How do you like them apples? Let me know what you think. Is it totally fine for Steph, who read printed articles in 2006, to tell us what it's like to fight endometriosis? Or
Did she also print out pictures of uteruses?
maybe? Or do you think, were there literally no women available who could maybe speak for this better? Are women going to be comfortable talking to somebody who clearly, Steph has autogynephilia, which is the fetishizing of women's conditions, and wants to present as a woman, which is fine. Let Steph do that, right? But as someone, women who are suffering this really painful and awful condition maybe deserve a room with people who are not fetishizing women's conditions and just take it as it is with no ideology at all. Just a thought. So let us know what you think of that in the chat below.
Thank you so much for watching this segment here at Redacted. We are live every day at 4 p.m. Eastern Time, trying to share the stories that the mainstream media will not cover. You should also come over and join our community of Redacted Rebels over at redacted.inc. That's our private locals community where we can share exclusive content that we simply cannot share here on YouTube. Come over and join the rebellion together right now by going to redacted.inc. We'll see you next time.